This is RTT with Terry the Tiger.
Hi, thank you, Mario and friends. Thank you for joining me on Random Talk Time with me, Terry the Tiger. Yes, I do speak in third person from time to time. It happens. Anyways, so, again, thank you for joining me. A little about myself. Well, I'm a little random about just everything that I like. I like a lot of things. Music, TV, games, sports, and when I'm saying into it, I don't mean like, oh, I dabble into it a little bit here and there, because if I do, I'll say that. But for the most part, I love sports, football, basketball, soccer. I've been getting into Australian football, the Bombers. It's my new team. Hockey, love to sit down and watch a hockey game. Could go to a game. Baseball, same thing. I just love sports. But at the same time, I love to play video games. I'm a PCer, just started doing that probably in the last 7 months. Let me tell you, since I've had my PC, I have not played my PlayStation, like, almost once. If anything, I've just logged on to collect that free GTA money, but outside of that, I stick to PC. So, dabble in games. I love movies, dabble in those, TV shows. And when I say I want to talk about it, I mean, I want you to think about something that happened in the movie. Because when I sit down and I watch a movie, you can ask my sister or anybody who's ever watched a movie with me. When I sit down and watch a movie, we're not just watching a movie. You're having to tell me to shut up, or I'm going to have to control myself, because I like to talk. Just, did you see the way the director directed that? Or do you know why they did that, right? Like, it's so that way the director can point the audience to see something, or some type of visual or music cue, because the music, I love that too. I was in band, marching band, from high school to 3 years in college. I did concert band from 3rd grade all the way to college. So I really love music, outside of, just hip-hop and country, because I am a country girl by far more than anything else. Do love my Justin Bieber, though, and my Jonas Brothers. Cannot get away from those guys. But, so, like, when I say sit down and watch a movie with me, sometimes you'll just hear, did you hear the way the symphony came in and just made it so that way it was like you knew something was going to happen? Or, sometimes scary movies, I will be honest, that's the reason why I don't like scary movies, is because the music sometimes is just more intensified than the actual story and the plot line that's going on, But, sure, that's not just me. Sure, everybody could feel like that. But, yeah, so you're going to get a little bit of all of that. Obviously, you've seen how I've kind of, or heard how I've kind of gone on a little tangent from time to time. Try not to go too far off, because my family knows I could definitely do that and go very far off. But, for the most part, I like to try to stick on track. And for the most part, I'm just going to like I said, have you think about stuff. I'm a nerd, so I do look up things and read a lot of articles, science articles, just about just different things that just are happening. So you'll learn some stuff about things that you thought you've never even heard of before. Because I'm very weird like that, okay? I will be honest, I don't have a degree in pretty much anything I like to talk about outside of I have a certificate for guard card to do that, and security for elementary and school students. So, I do know a little bit about that. Also, I have a certificate in CPR and AED resuscitation. So those are truly what my degrees are, and certificates are. I am studying right now to get an A+ certificate, which is in the IT world, your starting point to working in the field of IT and working on computers and other gadgets and technology in the world. Because let me tell you, I love technology. I really do. So much that I'm talking to you on my phone, but I have my computer up and my TV is also on, and it's all connected to each other, and my phone is connected to my TV. But I love technology. I really, really do. But it scares the hell out of me at the same time. I don't know if you've ever heard of or seen the show. It was on the CW. It was called The 100. Great fucking movie. Or TV show, sorry. Great show. And excuse me, and I do apologize real quick. I do apologize for any cussing. I really am trying not to cuss and don't want to cuss. But sometimes, if I get excited about something, I can't control what I say. And sometimes you'll get a word like fluck. And I can't help it because that's one of my favorite cuss words. So, that and shit. But yeah, so, anyways, The 100. It is 7 seasons on Netflix. It has an ending. It is a great show. It is pretty much about the humans. Spoiler alert, yes. There's pretty much about the humans. I believe me and my brother did the math, and they were saying it was about 2021 when it's based off. So it just so happened to be now. But pretty much the first season, and I love shows that are like this because it just draws you in and takes you to the ending. It wants you to go to the ending, but it starts off, and it pretty much literally is talking about how 100 years ago there was a nuclear war between a nuclear explosion / war between every country. All nuclear reactions in the world simultaneously went off and destroyed the world. But of course, this is a sci-fi. It's also found out it's a book, so love that part because now my books are coming in on Friday of this week. So I'll be reading this series soon because the show is over and I can't get enough of this fucking show. Sorry. Anyways. And it talks about how we, as a people, they're trying to come back to Earth because they've been up in space for 100 years. So these people that were up in space just so happened to be like right before the Earth was, from what we know in the first season, right about when the Earth was going to be destroyed, a group of people were able to leave Earth with enough time to pretty much save themselves. This is the whole futuristic portion aspect to it. Sci-fi, remember. So, there's like a group of people from supposedly every major country, superpower country. So there was like 7 or 8 space shuttles. Don't quote me on that, but 7 or 8 space shuttles up there that carried people, smart people of their professions, whether it was doctors, agriculture, stuff to pretty much keep the human population alive again. And this was people from every single planet, or every single country, sorry. And so they end up pretty much sending a group of 100 kids from up in space down to Earth, pretty much, I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of fucked up, pretty much as test subjects to see if the ground is survivable for the humans that are up in space. Pretty fucked up, like I said, really thinking about it. So they send these kids down there, and well, they find out that it's survivable. Of course, it's super sci-fi and not realistic. But the science that's there is pretty fucking amazing, you know, because it's just like, because they're born so many at this point. It's like they said it was like two or three generations of being born in space, that their body and our human DNA has pretty much absorbed enough radiation to where if there was any radiation on the ground, we could pretty much survive it, because they had been born in space with radiation all around, even though they're in supposedly space shuttles. But I'm really only going into detail about this because if anyone who's listening or watching likes, you know, this type of stuff, or has heard about it, or has seen it on Netflix and is like, I suggest it. It is a really, really good show that me and my brother both got really, really into. And my brother is not one to really watch TV shows. Yeah, he just doesn't do that. But, yeah, so that happens, and pretty much you find out more later on in the shows, that technology becomes, like, even though it looks so primitive and the show setting is like, because you got to remember the Earth was blown up, so the setting's like way like back in the day of like maybe like hunting with spears and bows type setting, you know, and teepee huts. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's pretty cool because it's like they mashed the two worlds, because apparently there were people on the ground still. So spoiler alert, they you know, seen the difference on how the people in space, they continued to evolve as far as, you know, their technology, and not necessarily what the houses and things like that, but they continued to evolve as far as a potential future with things and more knowledge. Because when they come back down to Earth, some of the people are kind of like back in the primitive days, and it's kind of like I said, bow and arrows. But it is 100 years in the future, and even though it was like primitive days, they were smart enough to grasp some of the technology, like I said, is brought into the show. And it's really fucking creepy, guys, because, and again, sorry, because the technology that they talk about in the show, I gotta go through them, but I have some, because I used to get National Geographics. Okay, real story, real quick. My Thea, when I was living in San Francisco with them, my Thea moved, and the people, or a person who was living there, he had a subscription to National Geographic. Well, he never canceled it, and my Thea was gonna throw them away, and I was like, no, those are good, and it's kind of an expensive, you know, expensive unnecessity prescription. Let me have that. So she just gave it to me, and I was great. Anyways, it was talking about how we as a human, and because we're learning more about our mind, and how our mind is like a computer. It's a neuron, and it has neurons. Again, I don't know the science too much about it, other than that it's like a computer. That I do know. And it's all electrical currents. And so they were able to get their mind, and in the show they called it a mind drive. They got the memory and uploaded it to the computer, or to a USB type chip. And they were saying in the National Geographic, they did that in the show as well, but in the National Geographic, they talked about how that we're in the process of being able to do that ourselves. What I was reading, it just, man, when I saw the show, it just like took me back to that article. Because that article, I read that first, and it was just like, I love technology, but that's fucking scary. In the show, eventually we find out they're pretty much creating immortality, humans, and it's just the way they're doing it is freakishly wrong. It's one of the ways that they're doing it. Any way they're doing it, it's wrong. It's just weird and wrong. But in the National Geographic book, it was saying how we are able to upload somebody's mind and their memories. And they're trying to do this so that way they can try to, they're saying that this is one of the possible cures for Alzheimer's and for, people who've lost their memory or in comas or different situations or things like that. And it's to help try to repair and to get that stuff back. And they were saying that ultimately they're trying to get our human minds and upload it to a computer so that way if something happened to our physical body, that all they would have to do is download from that chip your mind into someone else's mind or, body, and you would essentially be in someone else's body. If you're not scared by that, then if you're down for that, that's cool. That's fine. But me personally, I'm not down for that. That scares the hell out of me. And nobody deserves to live forever unless you're a vampire. But besides that is just too much for me. The show's a lot. It's really good though, because besides the technology that they talk about, that in there, just some of the fake possibilities that the science fiction related is just really cool, and I really like that type of stuff. So, just if you're interested in that, you like a good story, to be quite honest with you, that is something that I do suggest watching. Really great show. Just that technology, man, just like I said, I'm in the process of getting that certificate, and technology has come a long way. I think that's what even scares me more so when I watch the show, is because at the beginning of this pandemic last year, I started watching Friends, because I never watched that show from start to finish. And that, at the beginning of every episode, there was always like a random clipping of Ross talking, or something happening on the show. And in this one episode, Ross was talking about, and it was weird because I was watching this show and simultaneously this had already come out, so I was like waiting for this last season, the 7th season, to come out. And Friends was talking about, Ross was talking about how computers, they're talking about how one day in the future we hope to be able to put our minds onto a something like a floppy disk. And here you go, a few years later. Sorry, I'm dropping shit. Just getting a little excited talking about this, but this was, that episode, I had to look it up because that episode was made in like 1998 or 7, and it was just like the fact that they were already talking. The technology wasn't there. They said that they haven't done it, and compared to the National Geographic, they said that it's going to be possible in the next handful of years. And when I say handful, it's always like 5 fingers, 5. They were saying like 5 years, and this was like 2 years ago. So it's just crazy, just because they were saying that the technology is closer to being there, to fully being able to do that. They already are able to do some crazy stuff with your mind. I had an aunt who worked as I think it was a nurse receptionist at a sleep doctor's office, and she said that they would monitor, your pulses and everything. And, I believe they do that with other stuff too, but it's just if they're able to do that with monitoring your brain waves and your pulses to kind of signify when you're, having nightmares or when you're in more stress than normal, that's like, it's just crazy because it's all wavelengths is what I'm getting at. And in the show and everything, they're, it's pretty much, I mean, they're uploading your memories. It's not like you're writing something down or taking a picture. It's like they're literally uploading your memories from yourself to a computer, or no, of USB. Now that we're, in 2021 compared to Ross when he was saying a floppy disk, but they're pretty freaking close to getting stuff like that onto that USB that is our memories. Maybe not actual pictures quite yet, but according to the article, they're saying that the technology is very close on being able to do that, and definitely by, it was like quoting like 27. Of course, all of these scientists, I mean, truly don't know, because again, Ross was saying that, it should happen. I mean, that's even crazier because he was saying it should happen in the next 20 years. And then I actually read the article about that, and they were saying it was 20 years later is what, it's crazy. So, I mean, I guess the scientists weren't wrong, but they've been wrong before. So, I mean, I also read one time, like back in high school, that there was going to be a giant, besides the Aztec calendar, but there was going to be a giant meteor or asteroid. Is it an asteroid? I think it's an asteroid. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to find out. But that a giant asteroid was supposed to come and pretty much destroy the Earth, and that was going to be the end of us unless we beamed it or created a laser that maneuvered it or something like that. I think that's something I heard. Something like I said, this was in high school. I don't remember, but let me see here. An asteroid is a small rocky object that orbits the sun. Asteroids are smaller than the planet, but they are larger. Okay, so then it would be a meteoroid. A small piece of asteroid or comet called a meteoroid burns up. Okay. It's NASA, come on, you're confusing me. Short answer. The asteroid is a small rocky object that orbits the sun. Asteroids are smaller than the planet, okay, but are larger than a pebble-sized object we call meteoroids. A meteor is what happens when a meteoroid, a small piece of an asteroid or comet, burns up upon entering Earth's atmosphere, creating a streak of light in the sky. So yeah, I don't know if that answered my question. Where was that one here? Sometimes I like Google because Google, some of the things that you ever, like right now I just typed in what, and it says lies below. Lies below what? Like, what the hell? What to watch? What time is it? What time is it? California? Like, that's just weird, to be quite honest with you. Hold on. Here you go. Start to type what kill? The dinosaurs. That's what I wanted to know. Okay, so it would be an asteroid. Oh, okay, duh. So if you already knew this, then, like, cool. But if you realize I already answered the question, cool. So I'm smart sometimes, but I'm really stupid sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry for everybody who says, don't say that to yourself. But, sometimes I'm pretty stupid. anyway, so it would have been an asteroid. A large ass asteroid was going to come to about 2027 and boom, destroy the Earth, supposedly. This is what I heard in high school. Again, don't quote me on that. But Jesus. Anyways, so the technology that, Ross talked about, like I said, he said in 1998 in the show, and then like 20 years, he says it's going to happen in like 20 years, they'll be a lot closer to it. 20 years later, I read the article where they're saying they are so very close to it, and it's just like, it's crazy. Everybody makes so much jokes about just technology. I mean, again, I love it. I use it all the time. I love to go on hikes. I love to go on trails. So, I have to have my location on. I'm on Snapchat all the time. So, again, I have my location on all the time. That's my sister and them have iPhones. I have Androids. And I have yet really... I have yet really figured out how to be able to locate each other without paying for that family locator service through the phone companies, which I feel like there should be an easier way outside of doing that. I mean, again, I don't like iPhones. I'm going to make that very clear. I don't like iPhones at all. Very trash. Very horrible, in my opinion, technology, piece of equipment. It's very convenient as far as the sharing. I will not lie. Man, I used to work at a phone company, call service, and let me tell you, explaining to a 78-year-old person how to share something from an Android, which I personally think is very, very easy, but apparently is very, very hard and very difficult for an old person to do, because apparently the buttons are small. Dog's barking because mom came home. But so the buttons are small, and pretty much on iPhone it's all easier and just a lot easier for people to use and navigate through. But me personally, I don't like it. I find too many issues with, if you get into one, yes, if they have their phone, they'll be alerted, but if they don't have their phone and that's what you have, then you get to access pretty much all of their stuff if you know how to do so. So I don't really care for that, because that just, whatever. Also, back in the day when I was like into music and stuff like that, and like downloading musics and just free streaming it, iPhones, it got to a point where it would not allow me to put any of those music onto the iTunes folder app thing or whatever. So I stopped using that immediately. And yeah, so I'm an Android user. But anyways, so they're able to pretty much locate each other via their iPhones. Me and my brother, we both have Google and Android, so I use my Snapchat for my location, and he uses his location on, and I'm able to see him through my computer, all hooked up through Google technology and the crazy stuff that you're able to do with it. I'm telling you, it's pretty cool, but it's so scary. But, recently I've been playing, over the pandemic, I hooked up and got going my Nintendo 64 that I got in 99, the Christmas of 99, so I actually got it to play with it in 2000, but, pretty much I've been hooking that up and playing with that again, and man, those graphics, just crazy old school. And then it's cool because, like, I knew about this stuff, memory cards and how that stuff works, USB drives. Like I said, I was into music, downloaded a bunch of stuff. Back when MySpace was around, I used to hack into MySpace super easily, early stages of Facebook super easily. I stopped doing all that stuff, though. Got scared shitless one day. That's a story for another day. But it just like I know about all these little different technologies, and so just going back and studying for this A+ exam, it's just like crazy, like because I'm learning about the history for some reason, but I have to learn about the history, so I do know about the present and how we got there, and just they say every now and then you could come across an old computer in the field, so that's always fun. But it talks about how there were, it talks about the memory cards that you needed those in order to, save pretty much games, and move on if it didn't have enough memory inside of the little cartridge that the Nintendo 64s had, to plug in. Then you only got to just play the one game, one round. Like, have some Rugrats games that were just like that. I had some Star Wars games where the memories are built in. And you're able to just play the levels per inside of the game. But then I just bought a game because, like I said, I'm fixing it. I bought this game. It's called Gauntlet Legends. Great game. Love it. Taking me back to my childhood. And obviously, well, it's a long story mode, so you have to save it. And we bought some memory cards, and it's just really cool knowing how those work. But the memory card is just like, if I showed one of my little cousins this, they'd be like, "You're so old." I have one little cousin who specifically say, "You baby boomer," even though I'm not a baby boomer. And it's just so different from the PlayStation. I mean, they grew up on. I had a PlayStation 3. A couple of them would hang out. We'd watch them all the time, and that's what they seen was the PlayStations. And then eventually they got their owns, and eventually they went either to Xbox or whatever, or DS and that stuff. But it's just, if they seen these and seen the way they played it. I've showed some of them, and some of them are just like, this is boring, or this is ugly. Why the graphics look like that? And it's just like, cause that's vintage. It's cool. And it's cool because it is so awesome, because the way I started playing that Legends game, and just the way the graphics do look, and learning about that stuff, it's just pretty awesome. But so pretty much, in my opinion, and again, this is all in my opinion, technology is going to either, and it's crazy because this is exactly what the 100 says, it's either going to take us into a better way of life, a better way of, quote unquote, utopia way of living, or, like the show has also showed, it's also going to be man's biggest downfall and biggest mistake. I don't know if you've ever heard a video recording of Sophia. She is a AI robot that we created. Man created this AI machine, and she has a conversation with a brother, a different version they called him, where I want to say they said ultimately that he didn't have empathy. And when talking to the two of them, it's just so scary, because Sophia, who does have that little bit of empathy, and she called herself the better version. And they asked them a question: who would, if it became between man or human or some machine or something like that, like, what is the way of fixing it or some shit? Sorry, excuse me. And pretty much the brother robot, he comes out and he's just like, pretty much to save the humankind, we need to kill the humankind and pretty much get rid of the humankind. They're a fault and they're bad. They fight each other. There's wars from ever. He legitimately was like talking about like ancient and Egyptian times. Like there's always been wars, even to now, to where they progressed to nuclear, and with just one button they'd all be destroyed, destroying their natural everything. And Sophia, this is where it's so creepy, because Sophia is like, dude, you're wrong. Like, that's not cool, though. Like, destroying either half or most of the population, Thanos, would pretty much not solve the problem. Like, that's not right. Pretty much. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It's not right. That's not what we would, that's not cool to mankind. And pretty much, he says something else to like talk to her, and he pretty much is like, do you not understand where I'm coming from? And Sophia's like, I do get you, and I understand where you're coming from, and it does make sense. However, you have no empathy. And it's like, what the fuck? So just because she has empathy, that's the only reason why it's not right? Because she feels that destroying half of the human population is not cool because you want more control or whatever. Thanos. Yeah, it's just crazy, dude. It's just really crazy. Technology it's great, and you'll always hear about me talk about technology on this show because that's going to be my profession soon, one day. And I've done some what's it called? I got paid once, and then other times an internship. I did an internship at an IT company in San Francisco, and I loved it. Let me tell you. One day there, I made more money than I did one day working at the Giant Stadium when I was working there. And I worked, I think, 1 or 2 hours for the IT in the Giant Stadium. I think I worked 4 hours. And I made more money. Like, yeah. So, that's where I'm headed. But, outside of that technology, man, that stuff scares me. I mean, I love to use it because that's how I watch everything all the time. How I even listen to YouTube and podcasts and other things just by casting because I have a Google Chrome or Google Cast. So that's what I'm able to do. But speaking of that, casting, this weekend are going to be some fights. You'll be hearing about this all the time because I am not a casual. Neither is my brother. Brother's been watching longer than I have. I've been watching since she's, 13 or something like that. It was like right around the time UFC bought all the other little competitors and stuff like that. Big fan of Ronda Rousey in the, wrestling game in the world. So when she got her opportunity up there, and I believe it was her and Misha Tate for that tough season, that was a good one. But, lot of MMA. Very fucking, again, sorry, but, man, I was going for Stipe last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, but man, could not pull it off. But Nagano's a good fighter too. I mean, he's a great fighter, he's strong, one knock, obviously power, and he's grown as since his first fights with Stipe and other fights, and man, you guys, I don't know if you've heard this, but from what I know of and from what past UFC fights that I recall being, where they went 2 and then eventually 3, pretty much we had said that in recent years, and more so in recent years, that guys who have fought in a trilogy fight and won the second fight, but lost the first fight, ended up winning the overall trilogy in the end, winning fight number 2 and fight number 3. With Dustin coming back and beating McGregor, hopefully that continues to stand true. I want to say, who was the last person who fought? I want to say it was, obviously there's a few fights that are not in this because it didn't happen that way. Max Holloway and Volkanovski. But, I can't remember. We both, I have the pictures for those watching. But we had said that there's, more guys, so it's just like, if you lose that second fight, the odds of you winning that third fight is shorter. And, I mean, obviously Stipe and Daniel Cormier was one of the proofs of that statistic. I want to say Michael Bisping was one of the guys. I have to go back and double look and talk to him. Because right now I'll get too distracted trying to do this and search that at the same time. But with that being said, I want Stipe to, win that belt back. That'd be amazing. I think Don Johnson, no, not him. But yeah, that would be awesome if he won that back again and made that trilogy with Nagano, I mean, it's going to be big either way, but it'll be fun. But the fight this weekend, I love the way Kevin Holland is as a fighter and the way he acts and the way, not acts, but the way he moves in the cage and stuff like that. It's fun to watch. But I'm going with my boy Marvin Vettori. Gotta go Italy all the time. Soccer team, national soccer team, Italy. So I hope I'm not wrong. These ones are hard. I hate picking fights where I've got more likes for the fighter than, using my head. I mean, Marvin's grown as far as his fight game. I've been watching him since he started in the UFC of, a couple of years now? 3 years maybe? Something like that, but he's gotten better over time. His ground game is probably one of the shaky spots. Don't see that too often. He's more standing up. Obviously, he's got some knockouts. But it'll be interesting to see if he can control Kevin Holland and his length and his reach, which a lot of people have issues with tall people. And it's just like, you just got to have that speed. So if you don't have that speed against a tall person where you can get in and out and chop that leg, then you're pretty much toast and you're pretty much playing their game. But then you got the co-main event, Arnold Allen and Sadiq Youssef. Youssef, I don't want to say probably going to win the fight because Arnold Allen is a good fighter, great fighter. But I think Youssef's going to take it. Definitely think he's going to take it more so. But I'm excited for later on. So today is Wednesday and April 7th. For the first time, One Championship. Because I've been following One Championship for a while now. Probably since I tried to join Tiger Muay Thai out there. 2 years ago. And then I realized it was going to be expensive and I don't got a plane ticket. I don't got a passport. The fuck? So yeah, but One Championship, they produce a lot of great fighters. And this is where it just annoys me so much because of the fact that all of these casuals are just like, oh, they fucking suck. And I've even heard people who I know who aren't casuals who have this opinion to these One Championship fighters, and it's not true, dude. These guys are legit fighters. They are great fighters. Some of them have power. Some of them have speed. Some of them, I love that. A lot of them, because of the fact that a lot of them are actually lengthy. And some of them are tall, like, and I actually love the fact that some of these guys have learned how to fight that lengthy fighter. And yes, they do all these other stuff, but it's whatever. One championship is going to be on, and I know it's going to have already passed, but I hope Johnson wins. Eddie Alvarez is also making his debut on the main card, so hopefully he gets that win, and hopefully more people start watching one, because it's a really great show. Competitor levels, they got, it's not just people from the East Asian community. Like, I've seen dumb people comment on, they have people everywhere, just like the UFC. And I don't know. I think they're just as good, and UFC is not the only one to produce great fighters. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a big Michael Chandler fan too, and Michael Chandler, I've been watching him since Bellator, because back when Bellator was previously on Spike, before they went to DAZN or whatever, and made it a little harder for me to watch. Yeah, he was on there. He was a savage. I always thought he could do good in the UFC. Glad he's finally getting his shot. And a lot of people are saying he doesn't quite deserve it. I could say, okay, maybe at least one more fight and then the title shot. But the way everything is going with Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, hopefully he gets that belt, and hopefully he can hold it for a while. But Charles Oliveira is not a joke. He's also a good fighter, and that's happening this weekend. So hopefully you get to watch that on Saturday. What is it? The 10th? Yeah. But I'm excited for those one fight tonight, and then hopefully we get my win my way in the UFC this weekend. Also, at the end of April, we've got the BKFC, or bare knuckle fighting, is coming back Friday, April 30th. It's going to be some big guys. Dylan Kickler versus Josh Burns in the main event. So that should be some fun, those guys. So as of right now, this is all we've got for today. Just again, stay tuned, because we've got a lot more stuff, Disney conspiracy theories, let's see here, superheroes, and just the way they all intertwine, and just the way the stories go. For those who don't know, Lord of the Rings, because there's just so much information about that itself. There's a lot of things that I've seen is controversial. Star Wars, again, music, and then just a lot of different things. There's Twilight Zone, where, just people want to say certain things about stealing stuff from TV shows. Well, every show that I've ever seen, a lot of stuff has been stolen from the Twilight Zone. So, just a lot of random and weird things like that. But eventually get into the whole USADA, and when it was introduced to MMA, for those casuals who don't realize that a lot of these fighters have fought fighters who were on drugs. So, for them to sit there and say, oh, they lost because that guy was on drugs, it's kind of fucking stupid. But, yeah, just a whole bunch of different stuff that I find interesting. And again, if you find interesting, go ahead and let me know. I would love to research it. If it catches my eye, I will totally take a dabble into that. I'd like to go ahead and do a little shout out to a proud sponsor of mine, Cactus Chick Creations. Custom designer tees and t-shirts, things like that. You can find her on Instagram. She has a link to her Etsy.com shop. there. So please go ahead and take a look at that. It's really cool. She's got t-shirts that with her custom t-shirts, about $15, $18 if you want to do your own custom t-shirt. And when I say custom, she will do custom. We've got sweatshirts as well for $25. We got kids and infants for about $10. She does totes bags for about $5, also with, custom designers, custom tees on it and stuff like that. She also makes signs and things like that. If you want just nice home decorations and decor like that, she also does that for about $15. So go ahead and check out Cactus Chicks Creations on Instagram. And there's a link to the etsyshop.com. Again, I want to thank everyone for listening in today and continue to do so in the future. And thank you. Have a good day.